G'day and welcome to the program. As you can see, it's all happening here at William Creek on the Oodnadatta track in outback South Australia. The Gymkhana's in full swing, and this town and its iconic pub are a great base from which to explore much of outback South Australia. We'll take a look around today, but first, what else is in the show? Belinda discovers a National Trust treasure that's now an award-winning dining destination.
Oh my gosh, it is so tender and delicious.
And how you can get within a whisker of these big cats. But first, here's Michael.
Tucked away in Port Adelaide, in an old World War II aircraft hangar, the South Australian Aviation Museum is the best place to surround yourself with aircraft of every shape and size.
This is the latest addition to the museum, and what a beauty. It's called a Caribou. It's simply massive, and like all the aircraft here, it's got a great story to tell.
This Caribou was in operation with the RAAF for 45 years, first serving with No. 38 Squadron in New Guinea.
Oh, this is exciting, John.
This is interesting, Michael.
Oh.
Just watch your step.
Yeah.
This cable here, substantial as it is, was the guide for where they'd hook their parachutes on.
The museum is a not-for-profit organisation run by dedicated volunteers, just like John Roberts. And what John doesn't know about the planes on display here is not worth knowing.
What sort of things would this aircraft carry, apart from paratroopers?
This plane could carry any foodstuff, four-wheel drive, any equipment that was needed for disaster if required. Come and have a look at the cockpit, sir, Michael.
Hey, I'll tell you what, for such a big plane, it's pretty tiny, isn't it? Not exactly jumbo size.
No, it was actually built for 18 to 24-year-olds, lean and fit.
Yeah. So two people, pilot, co-pilot. It's not a lot of gadgetry like you would expect in a plane. How fast did they go?
About 198 miles an hour, which is not very fast.
Not for an aircraft, it's not. No. And reliable, I guess?
Absolutely, very reliable.
You know, I've got a great affection for the Caribou. More than 50 years ago, when I was doing national service, on exercises, these brand new planes would fly in and out, stop on threepence, turn around and take off again. A fantastic plane now at home here at this amazing museum.
Another aircraft at home here is the multi-purpose tactical fighter bomber, the F-111.
Does it take two people?
Absolutely.
Come on,
let's go.
Let's do it.
For close to 4 decades, the F-111 was at the forefront of the RAAF combat fleet and strike capability. These famous jets were officially retired from duty in 2010, but remain a firm favourite with the visitors.
Hey, what a fantastic experience. A boyhood dream come true. Oh, boy, awesome. Top Gun, eat your heart out.
The South Australian Aviation Museum is open from 10:30 a.m. every day of the year except Christmas Day and can be found on Lipson Street in Port Adelaide.
Next, a fantastic foodie find on the Fleurieu Peninsula.
Today, I've headed 90 minutes out of the city to the southern Fleurieu coast. But instead of visiting the usual suspects, I'm stopping at an absolute hidden gem. This beautiful little enclave is called Second Valley Beach, and boy does it pack some punch for its size. Surrounded by amazing limestone cliffs and beautiful rock formations, you won't believe how much there is to see and explore here. With winding trails stretching along the coastline and pathways that wrap up around rocky inlets, this area is a haven for walkers. Divers and snorkelers are also drawn here by its clear waters. The Second Valley Jetty is a place to cast a line or to try and spot the elusive leafy sea dragon that lives beneath it. I could spend all day exploring its multitude of rock pools, but lunch is calling. Just a 3-minute drive away is my destination, the charming Leonard's Mill. With its towering stone chimney stack, you can't miss this National Trust treasure. Leonard's Mill is 160 years old. Originally a flour mill, it's had quite a few incarnations in its time, and today it serves as a restaurant that prides itself on sourcing as much local produce as possible. And it's getting rave reviews. Hayley and Ian recently moved to the area with their son Gillen, with a strong vision to make this restaurant a regional dining destination. And just a few months in, they won their first chef's hat.
Hayley, what is it that drew your family to the area and to the mill in particular?
It's such a beautiful, iconic building. You know, couldn't say no, really. The region is just full of so much beautiful produce, amazing people, and it's such an awesome community to be a part of.
Best friends forever.
Diners can either enjoy eating outside on the beautifully manicured lawns and large deck, or inside surrounded by the mill's whitewashed walls and remnants of its past. In the kitchen is head chef Peter Smith, whose impressive resume includes top jobs at the Southern Ocean Lodge on KI and Michelin-starred restaurants in the UK.
We're bringing in whole animals. Pete has the knowledge to break them down in the kitchen, which not many other people can do. Nose to tail, we're not wasting anything, which is very amazing.
With sommelier Nina as my guide, who also boasts a Michelin-starred background, I couldn't be in better hands.
So here in front of you, we've got our tomatoes, which comes really just from our backyard, with some homemade ricotta and some smoked almonds. Pretty tasty and really refreshing. And then in front of you here, we've got the snapper, which comes from Cape Jervis, from a fisherman called Al.
Thank you very much, Nina.
You're so welcome, enjoy.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it is so tender and delicious.
And if you've indulged too much to drive home, just steps away from the main building are 2 charming 1-bedroom cottages. In keeping with their seasonal philosophy, the weekend dinner menu here at Leonard's Mill changes every 2 weeks. And for those gastronomic adventurers, don't miss their regular multi-course pairing events. Head to their Facebook page for all the delicious details.
Coming up, we meet the pride of SA.
There's no shortage of ways to get to know the residents at Monarto Zoo. From the cheeky meerkats to the fascinating chimps and even the chilled cheetahs. Getting within a whisker of these amazing animals is the hallmark of a great day out here.
But today I'm trying out Monarto's latest face-to-face encounter, and it's going to get my heart thumping. It's with the big cats, but it's going to make these guys look like kittens.
We're on our way to the Lions 360 experience, and that means we'll be the ones inside a cage. Keeper Tim Maloney tells us how to stay safe.
First and foremost, even though they are in captivity, they're certainly as wild as they can be. So please don't put any part of your body through the mesh, because they'll grab it and they'll rip it off and you won't get it back.
This tunnel leads us into the lion habitat and to the highly secure steel cage, where we'll be able to meet the zoo's lionesses face to face and even feed them. But right now, it doesn't really feel like we're the ones in charge.
Good girls, coming up. Such a warm day.
The lionesses know what's in store when visitors come. Juicy chunks of fresh meat served with barbecue tongs. Really just hors d'oeuvres for these ladies who weigh in at up to 140 kilos. But they're surprisingly polite when it comes to accepting an offering.
Reckon you do that?
I could do that. I just don't want to pet it for. I won't.
Please don't, yeah. So there's plenty of meat on the other end of it. That's the way. Great job.
Yeah.
Perfect. The whole idea behind the Lions 360, it's based around the shark diving experience that you can do in Port Lincoln. It's about getting the person into their habitat and getting them up close and personal to these lions. I suppose our main sort of role here at Monarto is an educational role. We also get people very close to these animals and hopefully inspire the next generation of conservationists. There are about 20,000 of them left in the wild, and the main reason being is the fact that they get shot and killed or caught up in snare wires because they're often considered a bit of a pest in a lot of parts of Africa.
Any or all of the zoo's 7 lionesses may turn up on a given day, but feeding duties are limited to just 4 visitors, so it's absolutely essential to book ahead. Today, I'll be serving tiombe.
So this is just a snack for them, isn't it? Just a little
It
morsel.
really is, yeah.
What would they eat during the day normally?
So we give these animals a main feed 5 times a week, and then we have 2 rest days a week as well, and that's to try and replicate feeding habits in the wild.
Last bit, Tiambi. Good girl. Oh, amazing. I think she's still actually looking at me, not at the meat.
Even if you're not getting handy with the tongs, there is still plenty of time to get close to these impressive cats. We spend about 20 minutes inside the cage, and you can even pretend you're out on the African savannah, thanks to a clever built-in safari car.
You know that MGM line that you hear at the beginning of the movies? I always thought that was fake, done in post. Believe me, that sounds real.
Back on the bus, the adventure continues, with a chance to see many of Monarto's other African residents. But I get the feeling that today, nothing's going to top the lions.
I thought that would be smaller than me, but it turns out they're way bigger.
The female lions were just like cats and fighting over food. My cats at home do the same thing.
But probably not as scary.
Yeah.
The Lions 360 experience is held twice daily, depending on the weather. So have a prowl around Monarto's website and pounce on some tickets. It's an unforgettable adventure with real bite.
After the break, we discover a secret gem in the outback, the Painted Hills. Out here, the horse has a revered place in station life, but not many cover the huge distances of the outback on horseback anymore. Still, the romance of the bush holds sway, and more Australians are making their way to remote places like William Creek. It's fair to say people and things have been dropping into William Creek for quite some time, but the iconic pub really owes a lot to the early days of rail.
It was actually built when the Ghan Railway line came through in 1887.
Trevor Wright owns the pub now and has a deep affection for this outback watering hole. Given the wall-to-wall array of business cards, you'd think this place was a major hub of enterprise and commerce. But for most punters, it's all about escaping the pressures of modern-day life and washing down the dust of the Oodnadatta track with a well-earned beer. It's fair to say some past additions to the William Creek Hotel have not all been given the council tick of approval.
This was the last bit to go on in the 1980s, and this was built when the actual railway line was pulled up and the sleepers off it. This is where they originally used to service motor vehicles and pull the gearboxes out of them. That today it's been paved the floor and it's our dining room.
So these walls are Ghan Railway sleepers?
The original Ghan Railway sleepers off the original Ghan Railway line.
Today, tourists, stockmen and a few galahs have the run of the place. But at the turn of last century, steam was king, with cattle sent by rail to market. There are not many obvious signs of this town's unique railway past, but this is part of the original Ghan Railway siding here at William Creek. And in the old days, when travelling by steam train, it was that way to Maree and eventually Adelaide, and this way to Oodnadatta and eventually Alice Springs. But nowadays, most people get around in air-conditioned four-wheel drive comfort, or they take to the air. Trevor Wright and his pilots certainly do, taking an ever-increasing number of travellers into the South Australian outback. A short distance by air, and soon we catch a glimpse of what are called the Painted Hills. These are brushstrokes nature's been conjuring over millennia. From the air, it's truly breathtaking. but on the ground, it's otherworldly, an experience reserved only for the adventurous few. It is a truly exclusive experience. The everyday tourist simply cannot get here by car. Access is by air only, and it says a lot about Trevor Wright's unique connections out here in the South Australian outback.
Because we want to maintain it in pristine condition, there is no roads into this, it's purely by air. And by having that, you leave minimum footprint and you have control over where people can actually go.
It's the stuff of science fiction, a land that time forgot. But not Trevor. He's had his eye on this country ever since he first flew over it decades ago. By plane, it looms large in the distance and then is gone. It's 30 kilometres long and 15 kilometres wide, and it is geological chaos. Trevor's keen to show off the secret South Aussie gem to more and more outback travellers, an ancient seabed now exposed to the elements in South Australia's far north.
This is the actual shoreline you're looking at there, and what I've been told is that the colour is because of an increase in the amount of iron within the sandstone. And as it erodes away both from water and wind, it oxidises and therefore you get this colour out here.
It's an amazing look, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. And I've been out this way nearly 30 years now, and you just look at it and it just blows you away.
For Wright's Air pilot Laura Kerbin, her first flight over this outback oddity certainly made a lasting impression.
You almost expect the old Curiosity rover to wheel on past a sand dune.
It could be another planet.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone said to describe Mars, this is exactly how I'd describe it.
Wright's Air run regular flights to the Painted Hills and a host of other outback scenic delights. For details, head to their website. Thanks for joining us. I think I'll leave this to the experts. Now, if there's anything else that you want to know about William Creek or anything you've seen on the program, hop online or join us on social media.